Through the third quarter, their defense taking care of business, generating turnovers and also fighting for loose balls. In two circumstances here on the left side in this fourth quarter, it came down to a couple of loose balls that Rutgers scooped up to run more 80-second shot clocks.
What happens too is your offense gets extremely frustrated, and then they finally get the ball back, and instead of working for a really good shot, they force one inside or they take a bad shot, and that's what happens. It's a direct effect.
Meade with a rocket from outside, a hat trick for the junior Owen Meade.
It has a direct effect on the entire team when you just don't have the ball on the other side, and you start to get.
Hasn't been a very happy Monday, especially for three organizations in Major League Lacrosse today.
Yeah, tough one.
Yeah, okay, welcome into Lacrosse Now. I'm Megan Tripley, he's Travis Eldridge.
Yeah, MLL shrinking from 9 teams to 6 teams starting in this 2019 season. The league announced that today. That left 3 organizations, the Machine, Launch, and Hounds, well, on the chopping block. It's part of what the league is calling a continuation of its strategic plan. Owners voted to move forward with a one-team, one-owner structure, which created the need to shrink to 6 teams, with former Ohio, Florida, and Charlotte owner Jim Davis now just owning the Dallas Rattlers. The league says the Hounds will return in the 2021 season under new ownership, but did not say anything about future plans for Ohio or Florida. The MLL also announced that they've reacquired their media rights.
Here's the statement released by the Ohio Machine. It reads in part, quote, earlier this morning, Major League Lacrosse announced that the league would be contracting from 9 teams to 6 for the coming 2019 season. Ohio was one of the teams that selected for contraction. At this time, the Ohio Machine is not scheduled to complete this season. This announcement comes as a terrible surprise to all of us at the Machine. We share in the incredible disappointment in this upsetting news with all those that have supported us over the years. When the team was originally formed, success was to be measured in 3 areas: how the team did on the field, how we supported the growth of the game in the region, and how well we provided fans an amazing experience. Since day one, everything that we have done was dedicated to each of these areas.
Some of the people from those organizations also sending out messages on social media, including now former Launch coach Tom Mariano, who posted this on Instagram. Thank you to everyone involved with the Florida Launch. It's been a great ride. Fans, you were awesome. Thank you, Brian Duncan, Chris Burdick, for being a great staff and friends. The Launch staff has been first class and shown true amazing dedication. Thank you to the players for their dedication and commitment. We didn't get a chance to accomplish all of our goals, but we had a great ride. I have loved every second of this journey. Thank you to my family for supporting me. Wish I had better news. On to the next chapter, hashtag 321 launch for the last time.
And the Charlotte Hounds tweeted this out April 1st. Perfect day to announce a 2-year hiatus. Hashtag awkward.
It was not an April Fool's joke.
It was not. I think when everyone saw that, the tweets and then the news coming out, we thought it might be April Fool's, but this is actually true. This is actually happening.
So let's look at what the league is now. From 9 to these 6. These are the teams that will play in Major League Lacrosse this summer. The Boston Cannons, Chesapeake Bayhawks, Atlanta Blaze, Denver Outlaws, Dallas Rattlers, and New York Lizards. Commissioner Sandy Brown joins us now on the phone. Commissioner, first off, why now? A new season to make this announcement.
Well, we had an owners meeting 2 weeks ago to talk about our strategic plan, and what came out of that meeting was that, as you all recall, I announced to the board and presented a 3-year plan, a long-range plan to the board last August, which focused on driving our attendance and fan engagement and creating a strong digital presence, and as well really improving our game day experience. As part and parcel of that, we wanted to focus on operating in large DMAs with a view to creating an Eastern and a Western conference, given the fact that we obviously have a large group of franchises that are on the East Coast. And at the same time, we came to the conclusion that we really wanted to focus on having one owner, one team, one vote, and having our media rights back, which we felt were really table stakes in terms of being able to bring in new owners and expand, which is a big priority for the league. So we had our meeting 2 weeks ago, and that was the outcome. And Jim Davis, who has been such a tremendous benefactor to the league and to the game in general, identified that he really wanted to operate one franchise, which is the Dallas Rattlers, and as a result, the Ohio Machine, the Florida Launch, and the Charlotte Hounds will not operate in 2019.
So obviously this is a tough spot for so many teams, and even for you as a league, because you've got a schedule that has already been released and plans that have been in place that you now have to change. Why would, just once again, I mean, why have that decision at this owners meeting now and having not made it back in August?
Well, a couple things. One, our schedule is in place with a 16-week schedule. We have preserved all of the home dates for all of our teams, even in this situation. So for the 6 teams that remain, there will be no change in terms of their dates. Travis, I can't answer why we made this decision at this juncture. The owners obviously wanted to get together to discuss it. This is when we could do it. And this was a decision that was made. So it's a process. It's not always an exact science, but we feel like we've got a very strong roadmap for expansion and for the league going forward, and we're actually quite excited about being in this position now.
So obviously there are a lot of players on those 3 teams that were on those active rosters or owned their rights owned by those organizations. What happens to those players?
So those players will be put into a draft that will occur at the end of April. They will then be reassigned to the 6 remaining teams that we have, and that they will then attend the first training camp of each of those teams, and then obviously it's going to be up to the teams to decide whether or not they will pick those players up or not.
You obviously announced the 16-game schedule. That was a big initiative that came back in the fall. Obviously, less teams now. Do you stay to 16, or will there be a change in how many games each of these teams are going to play?
No, it stays exactly the way it was.
So
we'll play 16 weeks.
And so when do you think we will have a new schedule to look at for the summer?
Most likely this week.
So finally, you talked about the media rights that you got back. For fans who are going to be looking for ways to see their teams, where do you feel like they're going to be able to see their teams this year?
It remains to be seen. I mean, those conversations are active and ongoing in terms of what we'll do from a distribution perspective. At a minimum, they would be able to view the games on our website. But it all depends upon what the various media deals are that we were able to conclude prior to the start of the season.
And finally, you have fan bases and people in a lot of those organizations in Ohio and Florida and Charlotte that obviously have put a lot into this league. What's your message to them about today's news?
Well, I feel very badly that we're in this situation. My hope is, and we are very gratified and appreciate their support over the years for all 3 franchises, and my hope is that we'll be in a position to return to those cities sooner than later. But I am, as I said, I think we have a path for growth for the league that we haven't had in a long time, and ultimately, I'm hopeful that we'll find a way to have those 3 franchises be back in the fold.
Sandy, we appreciate the time. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
All right, coming up on Lacrosse Now, we'll get more reaction to today's MLL news. Analyst Evan Washburn joins us to weigh in as well.
Plus, we head to college lacrosse where the top 5 looks a little different on the women's side. Not the top 3, but the top 5. We'll break that down.
And despite beating Maryland last night, Penn State is still not the unanimous #1 on the men's side. We'll show you who else is getting a first place vote. We'll be right back.
Jake and Brody are not brothers, not related whatsoever, just share a last name. And Brody with a hat trick.
Towson tying it up, McLean. Nice play here, the big guy coming off of that pick there. Just bodies right there, gets into his defender, and then uses him as a screen. Does a nice job dropping his level.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. Win the first championship!
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
Lacrosse Now is brought to you in part by New Balance Lacrosse. Built for lacrosse.
Welcome back. Like every Monday, Inside Lacrosse releases their new weekly media poll. And after the week that was, there are a lot of changes.
Yeah, let's take a look. 4th week in a row, Penn State, still the #1 team in the country. They got 26 of the 27 first place votes. If you're looking for that last first place vote, you look a couple of spots down. Virginia getting that vote. They moved up 3 spots this week. Yale rounds out the top 5. The Quakers, Penn, and Notre Dame moving up into the top 10. Duke and Ohio State both falling down a little bit after losses this weekend, but still hanging in the top 10. Syracuse, Towson, Denver moving out. In the bottom half of the poll, we welcome in Rutgers and North Carolina back into the top 20. Heels with a big win.
And you know what? Last night, the Nittany Lions put on a show against Maryland in College Park to earn the program's first varsity win over the Terps. Penn State put in 8 goals in the first quarter alone, and 8 different players scored goals, and 9 total players recorded points in the 13-10 victory.
Lions saying, "Hear me roar." Second-ranked Loyola moving up 4 spots after the big victory over Colgate. Greyhounds scored a season-best 21 goals. Kevin Lindley matched a career high with 8 of them, finished 1 goal off the school record of 9 set in 1986 by John Carroll. And Pat Spencer scored twice and also was just 1 assist away from the school best with 8 in the win. Pat Spencer, he's pretty good.
Yes. All right, then Penn comes in this week at number 6 after taking down the defending champs, Yale, on Saturday afternoon. The Quakers were up by 4 in the fourth quarter, but then Yale came storming back, and we had to go to 3 overtimes. Sam Hanley had the game winner for Penn to give the Quakers their 5th win in a row.
Love that freshman Sam Hanley, 6'5", 215, big body. Duke remains in the top 10 as they fall to number 8 this week after losing to crosstown rival North Carolina. The game was back and forth until the Tar Heels defense held Duke scoreless over the last 17:50 of the game to solidify the win. Carolina winning 10-8. UNC now in the top 20, sitting at number 19 as we just showed you.
And Ohio State is no longer undefeated. The Scarlet Knights came into town on Sunday and absolutely dominated by forcing the Buckeyes into 17 turnovers. Now, with the loss, Ohio State falls to number 9, while Rutgers moves up into the top 20 at number 18. All right, so with all of this question, you said it. We take a look at that full screen, and Penn State was not the unanimous number 1. Virginia got one first place vote. Why is that, do you think?
Well, so thanks to the Twitter and people making their post public, we know who voted Virginia number 1. It's Andy Towers, now PLL head coach, former Ivy League coach. And here's the thing with the media poll, because every week you sit down to do these things, and every week you have to figure out how are you going to figure out these 20 teams, because there are some weeks it's really hard, including this week, because you had like 4 teams in the top 10 lose. And so who do you put in there? I mean, some people like me, I still feel Ohio State's a pretty good team. They just had a bad outing. Yeah. Duke lose to North Carolina in a rival. Not a great loss for them because North Carolina hasn't been great, but you still think Duke's a good team. Yeah. So everybody's got their own way of figuring out how to put these rankings together. Some people say, you know what, I'm going to go off the eye test, and I think Virginia is playing like the best team in the country right now. No matter what the results tell me in terms of their great wins or bad losses or whatever. And so I guess Andy Towers went on that.
Yeah, I get that, and I get the eye test. I think it's kind of just crazy that the Virginia is that one team to get that one first place vote, especially when you look at it and you have Loyola there, you have Maryland, and I know their resume and especially their schedule isn't as tough. It couldn't be
Maryland this week. You lose to Penn State head-to-head on Sunday night. You can't put Maryland
Penn State is number 1, but you put Virginia in there, and Virginia, they lost to Loyola, but you don't give Loyola the first. You don't give Loyola first place vote. It's confusing.
It's been a while. When you have it, it's more of a what have you done for me lately? Virginia's rattled off, I think, 7 in a row. Right now, they looked good against Richmond, a Richmond team that beat Notre Dame, gave Duke some trouble. They took care of Richmond on Friday, looked good against Utah on Sunday. I don't know.
It's hard.
It's tough. Honestly, and I thought I was a little crazy at first, but if there was any team to give it to, I think Virginia or Loyola would probably be the teams.
I'm just surprised Loyola didn't get any. That's all I'm saying. I think I would have chosen Loyola over Virginia, but hey.
Penn State's my number 1.
Yeah. Okay.
Grant Amen, not 100%, but still good.
There's a lot of people's number 1.
So there you go. Why don't we move on to the women's poll?
Yes.
Also, really good teams. Who's not the unanimous number 1? Boston College. No changes in the top 3 this week after all 3 of them won, but Maryland still getting that one first place vote. They are undefeated, the Terps. And Boston College getting the other 22. When you look at the rest of the top 10, you got some teams flip-flopping in there as Notre Dame moves up, North Carolina drops down. USC hanging out there in the top 10. Trojans quietly have had a good season so far.
They beat Stanford twice this week, which was a big thing of why they're in the top 10. But not a lot of movement as compared to the men's this week.
No.
All right, so as Travis mentioned, the top 3, they remain unchanged after Boston College improved to 12-0 on the season with a 16-9 win over Virginia this weekend. Maryland routed Big Ten rival Rutgers 20-3. I'm pretty sure that's probably why they got that first place vote, because they're really, really good. And also, it was Kathy Reese's 260th win at Maryland, tying her for the most in the history of the program. We'll speak with her later in the program. And Syracuse went on the road and won a nail-biter, 15-14 over Duke.
An offensive explosion propelled Northwestern up to number 6. The Wildcats scored 4 goals in the first 4 minutes, and it came from 4 different players en route to a 13-goal first half in that 17-13 win over Penn. Northwestern faces a ranked opponent for the third straight game when they travel to Baltimore to take on 16th ranked Hopkins on Saturday. Northwestern's schedule is brutal.
It is. And speaking of Hopkins, Michigan handed the Blue Jays a 16-11 loss Saturday in Ann Arbor. The win marks the 12th straight for the Wolverines, who get a tough test this Saturday when they travel to College Park to face number 2 Maryland. That's going to be a game that I think a lot of people are going to be watching. That'll tell us how good Michigan is.
Michigan is the story of the women's lacrosse season. Other than BC being number 1, Michigan's the story. Awesome stuff from Coach Hannah Nielsen. Coming off a 1-goal loss to Syracuse, Notre Dame bouncing back this week, remaining perfect at home with the 9-7 win over Carolina. The Fighting Irish, led by Samantha Lynch's 4 goals and fellow senior Samantha Jacalone's 14 saves, Notre Dame held the Tar Heels to a season-low 7 goals in the win. Irish defense, legit.
Yeah, it's like the number 1 defense in the country right now.
Really good.
All right, still ahead on lacrosse now. We preview tomorrow's games and tell you the big storylines from each game that you have to know.
But first, we'll talk to Maryland head coach Kathy Reese about her big milestone, winning that 260th game as head coach at Maryland. We'll check in on the IWLCA coaches poll when we come back.
Designing extra man offense plays, it's best to incorporate some element of surprise to try to confuse the defense. This 1-4-1 to a 3-3 uses a ball side slip screen to try to get an easy look in the crease. It's best suited for intermediate to advanced skill levels. The trigger on this play is the player at X. I'm going to have him go to the left, but feel free to mirror this and you can go to the right as well. He's going to carry to the left side. As this action occurs, we're going to get a little slip screen right here between these 2 players. The other crease man is going to roll off and be an outlet.
Let's take a closer look at what happened in the women's game over the last week by diving into the IWLCA coaches poll.
Yeah, after 2 Big Ten wins in just 4 days, the Terps remain at that number 2 spot. And one of those wins was a 20-3 takedown of Rutgers on Sunday. That victory was Coach Kathy Reese's 260th win as the Terps head coach, tying the legendary Cindy Timshaw for the most in program history. Now, over the course of the last 12 years, Reese has been named the IWLCA Coach of the Year 3 times and has led Maryland to 10 straight Final Fours. And here they are at 12-0. Terps are ranked number 2, as we guys told you. They're number 2 in the IWLCA poll as well, and they fall behind the unbeaten Boston College. Otherwise, the coaches poll top 5 looks similar to the media poll, with the exception of Northwestern replacing North Carolina in this top 5. Now, at the bottom of the poll, it includes Georgetown, Virginia Tech, and High Point in the top 25. Teams just outside the top 20 on the media side.
Kathy Reese joins us now. Coach, you guys are undefeated at this point of the season. Nothing new for you guys, but I think it's interesting. You've had so many teams get to this point and being as successful as you've been. Where is this team at compared to maybe teams you've had in the past? How do you feel?
Well, it's been a really fun season so far. Our team is really playing together well. They have great chemistry. They're a lot of fun to coach, a lot of fun to be around. So yeah, we're 12 games, I guess, or so into the season already, and started conference play and stuff. And I love where we are. I think we're playing really well defensively. Our group is coming together really nicely, with Megan Taylor in the back anchoring us in goal, and then our midfield. These guys with Jen Giles, Grace Griffin, Erica Evans are doing great, being two-way middies. And then on the offensive end, we're moving well. We're playing together well. We're reading each other well, and that's all that I can ask for at this point in the season.
I'm glad you brought up Erica Evans there in the midfield. You got her in a transfer this year, and sometimes it can be tough to adjust to a new team, and especially a new roster with as much talent as you guys have. She obviously brings a lot. What have you felt like her role has been with this team and what she's brought to the table?
Well, I think the really cool thing with her is she just continues to get better every day, and it's tough. I can't imagine coming into a new program your fifth year and fitting in to ours and earning a starting role. And so she's had a lot of adjustments to make. She's really has adapted well and is learning and continuing to learn. And we're continuing to see her get better and better every day as she gains confidence and understanding of what we're looking for, and learns what the players next to her do, how they play, what they like, what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are. So she's been such a fun player to coach. She's so fast. She's great in transitions. She's good on the defensive end, and she's got such a quick release on the offensive end that she can find her openings pretty much in any given situation. So she's fitting in so nicely with our team all over the field, and it's pretty cool to just watch her continue to get better every game.
So this past weekend, you won your 260th game as the head coach there at Maryland. Times must have felt like it's flown by here. That ties Cindy Timchaw for first place all-time in Maryland history. After everything she's accomplished and how much she's meant to the sport, what does that mean to you for you to pull into a tie with her there in Maryland history?
Well, I think a couple things. One, I played for Cindy. I worked with her for 5 years, so I have learned so much from her. My whole lacrosse background before I became a head coach was because of her and from her. So she's somebody that's not only a mentor, but she's a good friend, and it's been pretty cool to be able to pick up when she left Maryland, and just kind of keep the tradition of what she built here, going. And I look back now when you're kind of faced with this and asked to reflect on it, and the years that I've spent here, I've just been really fortunate to have great teams, and we're going into the middle of my 13th season here, and each team has been different and special, and they're filled with such awesome players, but more importantly, great people. And it's been a lot of fun. Each journey's been different. Each season's been different, but it's just a true credit to the players and how hard they've worked and what they've done and their abilities. That's just kind of have led us to this point.
What's the message you'll send her away when you have a chance to get number 261?
Well, we talk to her, periodically throughout the year. So this is it's funny because I don't ever think about this stuff, and then it's like, poof, it hits you. And so, we have a lot of stuff ahead of us, and we're not really focusing or thinking about this at all. We've got a big road game again midweek, so short turnaround time from our last game with limited preparation. And so we just need to keep our focus on Maryland and what we need to do to be successful in the field. And we'll approach that if and when the time comes. But I'm definitely thankful for everything that she's done for me as a player and as a coach, and fortunate to have had the opportunities that I had because of her.
You brought it up, a difficult week for you guys once again here. You got a road trip to Virginia here on Wednesday, who's been playing as well as a lot of teams in the country. And then you got a Michigan team who has really stepped up its game this year. When you look at this week in general, what's important for you guys in order to go 2-0?
Well, we'll take it one at a time, and we'll head down to Virginia on Wednesday. And they have been having a great season down there. And there's a lot of history in this game too. These two programs are both terrific. So we know this is always a battle, and we need to be prepared. We need to be mentally in the right spot. We need to make sure that we're doing the things that we're asking, sticking to our game plan on both ends of the field. We'll deal with the next game when we get there. Not ready to even kind of think ahead to that because we know we've got a huge challenge ahead of us. So right now here with our team and our coaching staff, we're really just focused on one game at a time, and that happens to be our road trip Wednesday.
A nice luxury for you to have as a coaching staff is having Megan Taylor there in goal. She's been spectacular this season. What have you made of her performance as she continues to put up double-digit save numbers in some of these games?
Well, just what you said, she's been spectacular. You know, that's a great way to put it. Not only is, gosh, I mean, she's seeing the ball so well. She just truly anchors our defense. But what's been cool for this year, too, is now Megan Taylor as a senior, who's one of our captains, who was, you know, chosen by her teammates, is just really stepped up as far as her confidence level and her leadership. You know, and she's back there. She's doing a great job communicating with her defense, working with the people in front of her. And hopefully if they can do their job, then she can do her job, and we're successful on the defensive end. And she's seeing the ball well. She's making some phenomenal saves. The end of all of this, I'm just really thankful she's our goalie, because she is having a great year and is just continuing to shine game in and game out.
One of those players you much rather have on your side than on the other side. Hey,
sure.
Coach, we appreciate all the time. Good luck this week, and we'll catch up again soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Travis. So let's now take a look at the other polls from the IWLCA. For Division II, once again, undefeated Lemoyne College sits at #1 and collected all 25 first-place votes this week. Adelphi, Florida Southern, and Westchester remain at 2 through 4. Rollins, they're undefeated. They're at 9-0 this year. They enter into the top 5 for the first time this season. And if you look on down, there's Mount Olive, who stood at 8-3 on the season. They checked back in at number 25 after dropping from the poll last month.
Getting married right around the corner from Westchester. So
nice.
There you go. Shout out.
Here's a shout out. It is. All right, and for Division III, Gettysburg College, they're undefeated at 7-0. They're in the #1 team again this week with 25 first-place votes. Washington and Lee, Mary Washington, Salisbury, and Middlebury all moved up a spot to round out the top 5. The back half of the top 10 has a new entry as Catholic jumped 4 spots to number 10 after taking down Franklin Marshall. The second half of the poll remained stable with very little movement this week.
Don't forget about the Bombers. Look at Ithaca.
I know Tom's not here. I usually let Tom do a shout out for that.
Tom Eschen, shout out for Ithaca.
They're back up in there.
Inside the top 20. Still to come, we'll count down the top 10 plays from the weekend in college lacrosse. See if this one, the game winner from Sam Hanley for Penn, makes the cut.
Oh, that's going to be in there.
It's got to be.
Yeah, I'm betting on that one. And we'll have more of all the contraction of Major League Lacrosse from 9 teams to 6. Analyst Evan Washburn gives us his thoughts after the break.
Jake and Brody are not brothers, not related whatsoever. They share a last name. And Brody with a hat trick.
Towson tying it up, McLean. Nice play here. The big guy coming off of that pick there. Just bodies right there, gets into his defender, and then uses him as a screen. Does a nice job dropping his level.
Tyler Pace with the Calgary Roughnecks. This is Box Lacrosse 101. Today we'll be talking about shuffle passing. As we're doing this drill, we want to make sure that our stick stays above our shoulder and we're passing, we're following through, right? We're not making any cradle motions when we catch it. We're controlling the ball before we release it. And we're not trying to race up the floor as we shuffle. It's more about control than it is about speed.
The biggest stars in the Premier Lacrosse League going to be on display this July in La La Land, L.A. The league announced its All-Star Game will be in Los Angeles July 21st at Banc of California Stadium. It's the home of LAFC in Major League Soccer. The All-Star Weekend will include a skills competition along with the All-Star Game featuring the top 50 players in the league.
Oh, it's also during ESPYs week.
It is.
Ooh, a lot of stars. just throwing this out here, we didn't find the clip, but I definitely said this beginning of when all this announced. I said the All-Star game has to be in LA. Just saying. I'm sure Paul was listening to me.
Yeah, I'm sure we definitely couldn't find the clip. It exists somewhere, though.
It's somewhere. I'm telling you, I said it, though.
From the Pro Stars, let's go back to the college ones. We got a couple of big midweek tilts this week, including a huge game in upstate New York.
Yeah, so let's look ahead to tomorrow night by starting with the battle for the Cross-Simmons Trophy between Hobart and Syracuse. I bet you love this game, don't you?
It's a great game.
It's the 105th meeting between the two Central New York rivals. The Orange have won 5 straight in the series, but this may be the statement's best team in quite a while. Hobart enters this one at 8-1, with the only loss coming to Cornell, and they're number 20 in the country. Syracuse looking to rebound from a slow start and a loss to Notre Dame over the weekend.
On the women's side, number 17 Princeton has fallen in the rankings after losing back-to-back games to Brown and Maryland over the last week and a half. The Tigers will look to get back on track against Villanova. The Wildcats 7-4 on the season, but 0-2 against ranked opponents so far.
And then there is the Baltimore rivalry between Hopkins and Towson. It has been a rough go for the Tigers against ranked opponents so far this season. They're 0-7 against the teams that were ranked when they played. Now, they could really use a win tomorrow. As for Hopkins, the Blue Jays check in at number 16 in the latest media poll and have 4 players with 30 or more points this year, including Maggie Schneiderreich, who has put up 48.
As for now, let's go back to this top story of the night. Major League Lacrosse contracting, shrinking from 9 teams to 6 teams for this 2019 season. The league announced that today, and that the Launch, Machine, and Hounds will not operate this year, with only plans for Charlotte to return in 2021. Chesapeake Bayhawks owner Brendan Kelly said this in the release: the past year has been a transformative time for MLL. Tremendous credit goes to the owners for their courage and willingness to evolve to a one-team, one-owner structure. Our commissioner has shown strong leadership and vision throughout this process. The league is now positioned for economic growth and heightened brand exposure. For more on this big news, let's send it back over to Meg.
And now we bring in Ellison analyst Evan Washburn to break all this down for us. Evan, what was your take when you heard this ML breaking news?
Well, I can't say I was surprised based off of where we stand with professional lacrosse at the moment. It's a really volatile time. There's a lot of positivity, there's some negativity, and there's a lot of question about the future of 2 leagues and how viable that is. And look, you can view this in 2 very different ways. And I know the MLL, and it's their right, and maybe it's their prerogative, and they strongly believe that this is something that will strengthen their future as a league and the way they go from here. And you can make that argument based off of the fact that if there are things that were pre-existing that don't create positivity in terms of growth, and whether that be financially or just with the relationships within those ownership meetings and the way that it's been structured up till now, then okay, maybe this is a sign of movement towards a better future, a more positive one. I think that whenever you're in this period showing less than a strong product, whether it be based off of the players you have on the field that have committed to your league or just the number of teams that you have, that to me is an area of concern. So knowing some of what some of the backroom aspects to this were in terms of ownership, who had the majority of the ownership stake in these teams that were now no longer part of the MLL, I think big picture that could be a positive for the league. But again, in the moment, I think that you can't help but think that this is concerning, that 3 teams in a 9-team league are no longer.
In your opinion, what do you think is going to happen to those players from those 3 teams that have now been eliminated?
Well, I would imagine that they're put into a player pool, and then for the 6 remaining teams, they get a chance, whether it be via the supplemental draft order or however the order is created, to start to claim some of these guys. And that I would describe as a positive, because this league, at least at the moment and on the surface, is full of, for the most part, a lot of unproven or non-stars, if you will, other than maybe Lyle Thompson and Rob Pennell and some of the guys that seem to still be affiliated with the league, and Colin Heacock, some of these guys. But there's a lot of players that are capable, quality players that played for Florida, Ohio, and Charlotte, and now they could be added to a roster of Chesapeake, Boston, Denver, whoever it may be. And I think that helps some of the depth in the league.
You know, a lot of question is like, so what is your take on this news coming out after the collegiate draft, after the supplemental draft that they just had a couple of weeks ago, to waiting to April 1st to tell us all this?
Yeah, that's something it's difficult to speak of or on based off of not knowing exactly how long the league has known that this was a distinct possibility. I have to imagine that retracting it and losing 3 teams was the last resort. So why not hold these league events in hopes that this isn't the reality that is now the reality? I have to imagine there were warning signs along the way, and maybe you postponed the collegiate draft. But let's be honest, Megan, what is the collegiate draft? I mean, we don't. Yeah. You hold it in March. For even when we had one league, it was challenging to know what that meant going into a summer. I mean, having been a part of it for all those years, the draft, we constantly were saying, well, if this player chooses to play lacrosse, if he decides to go for another year, a grad year, is he going to work full time or go to med school? All these things were, and now you throw in, is he going to play in the PLL? Is he going to go play basketball if it's Pat Spencer? So the uncertainty around the draft to me, because of this now, just becomes kind of part of what is constantly the narrative around the MLL draft, unless it was held in June. Otherwise, yeah, I guess it would have been great to know that this was a possibility come December or January. But my guess is that Sandy Brown and the MLL didn't want to give this sort of a public voice until it was truly the only option.
When you look at it just completely as a whole, I know there's still a lot of uncertainty. We don't know a lot of, we're not going to get a lot of answers to our questions right now. But if you look at it as a whole, is this a setback, or do you think this is a step forward in expanding the sport that was already trying to grow?
I think in the moment, it's a step back. You're losing 3 teams in a league that has taken a pretty severe hit over the last, let's call it 8-9 months, ever since the PLL was announced, and a wave of your top players have decided to move on and give this new league a shot. And now you add that you're losing 3 teams. I don't see how you argue it's not a step back, but I do believe that if this is part of a larger plan, which is as it was described in the release today, that the league has strategically decided that they're going to take the PR hit, they're going to take the literal hit of less teams in the moment and try and survive here for the next couple of years and come back stronger, more organized, and with a better plan into the 2020-2021 season, then then this could then be viewed as a positive. But it's impossible for me as a lacrosse fan and somebody who's just kind of viewing professional sports as many of us do in some of the mechanics of this, and just understanding PR, that this is not a positive day in my mind for a league that we all really cared about over the last, for me, 8 years. But I was there exactly when it went to 6 and then bumped back up to 8-9 after the 2008 financial crisis. So I have seen this happen with this league. So my hope is that this is just a mini version of what happened in 08, and that they can then grow into a stronger and more viable and more organized league moving forward.
And you mentioned you've seen this league go down to 6 and come back to 8. If there are any kids who are watching, especially there are fans of, not just the MLL, but especially those 3 teams that are no longer as of right now, what's just kind of your message to them to just kind of still be involved into this sport and just to not give up on it?
Well, the beauty of it, and we sit here discussing lacrosse as a whole, whether it's the college game, the pro game, that includes the PLL, the MLL, the NLL. It's never been stronger in my mind for young fans to have players to identify with and teams to identify with. Now, if you're in Ohio or you're in Charlotte or you're in Florida and you had latched onto the launch, the machine, or the Hounds, yes, it's a disappointing and sad day for you. But I think you can quickly pivot and become a fan of whether it be another player or another team. And as we know, a lot of these players aren't going anywhere that played for these teams. Some of them had already left the Ohio Machine, the Florida Launch, or the Charlotte Hounds and moved on to the PLL. And now whoever remained with those teams will move on and play for the Chesapeake Bayhawks, the Denver Outlaws, the Boston Cannons, whoever remains in Major League Lacrosse. So I think that's where you find yourself if you're a fan. There's never been a better opportunity to become a fan of the game and see the best players play. It's just you're gonna have to expand your horizons of it maybe not being in your backyard for the moment.
And talking about expanding your horizons, let's talk about the positive side of all of this. If this happens to be a bigger picture thing where the sport can grow to other areas of the country, as a fan and as an analyst, where do you hope to see a possible MLL team go to next?
Well, look, I never got to experience the LA Riptide, and I know that the PLLs made their home in Southern California, so it feels like we're going to get professional lacrosse there plenty on their tour each summer. But I'm okay with the team being based somewhere in Southern California, whether it's San Diego, Los Angeles, Newport Beach, somewhere in that area. My hope is that for whatever reason, I can get assigned some work out there, because whenever I go out there for Chargers games or Rams games, I find myself wondering why I would never be out here permanently. So it's nothing unique. I think most lacrosse fans, especially us based out east, love the idea of some SoCal lacrosse. So when the league's ready and they get through this rough patch, let's keep pushing for Southern California for whenever it is, 2020, 2021.
I'm sure a lot of players would agree with you and love to be playing in Southern California. You said Newport Beach, and I would love to go out there too. That's a great spot.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
All right. Thank you so much, Evan, for giving us your take and for joining us today on this breaking news story.
You got it, Megan. Thanks.
And you can, of course, get full coverage of this announcement, the rest of the moves throughout this crazy Major League Lacrosse busy offseason. You can see them right now on demand, Lac Sports Network and the LSN app. Watch for free anywhere. It's great. Coming up, oops, she did it again. The Tewaaraton winner threw down another highlight reel goal for BC. See where Sam Apuzzo lands on our top 10 this week.
And plus, we look back at the weekend in the NLL, looking back at our hot takes from last week, see if we were right about anything.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. With the first championship.
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
All right, let's warm things up in the studio a little bit. You ready?
Ready.
You got your coat on? You want to take anything off? You're good?
No, I'm good.
All right, you're good.
You know, just trying to stay warm. It got a little chilly up here in Boston
It
today
definitely
after
did.
a warm weekend.
Well, hey, guess what? We have hot takes to warm everything up for us.
Yeah.
So let's take a look back and see what happened with the week it was. Did you get anything right? Was producer Pete, did he stump you on a few?
So it was producer Dylan subbing in this week. Producer Pete was off, so producer Dylan provided the hot takes. And let's start off with Austin Stotts. Having a terrific rookie season. The hot take was that he was going to pass his brother Randy Stotts, who plays for the Georgia Swarm, in goals this weekend. Georgia was off.
Yeah.
San Diego played. Austin, 4 goals behind Randy. He did not score 4 goals.
He did not.
He did play very well for San Diego. He had 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points for Austin. He's feeling great. They won big against against Calgary. Feeling really good about that, but he's still 2 goals behind his older brother.
What did you think was going to happen?
I don't believe I thought he was going to get it.
Okay.
So I thought it was too hot.
So you're right on this one.
Yeah.
Dylan was wrong, but you were right.
Yeah, so 0 for 1 for producer Dylan.
Okay.
Why don't we move on to hot take number 2? This one I thought had a better chance of happening. Callum Crawford is going to go for double-digit points in his return.
It's not something that we would think he would be able to do. Could be possible. So what happened?
Well, he had been double-digit points in 3 of his last 5 games but he was returning from that 2-game suspension that was supposed to be maybe 6 games, but it was brought down to 2.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Just a goal and 2 assists. New England did not look good on Sunday. They lost to Rochester, who has been bad. They completely changed their roster and lineup. New England, Sunday afternoon, usually is a good place for the Black Wolves there at Mohegan Sun. Was not good. They lose. Crawford not great in his return.
Ugh.
Issues for the Black Wolves now.
Yeah, because now they don't have that playoff spot.
3 in a row. Team's still hanging around. There's still
a chance.
I still think they're going to get that playoff spot. A lot would need to happen.
Yeah.
But they're letting teams hang around. That's not something you want to do.
In Callum's defense, there's a lot of things going around. You know, off the field.
I thought he was going to come in return with a bang. Not so much. Finally, this is the one that I thought was really, had a good chance of happening.
Oh, you thought it was going to happen?
Yeah. Home teams would go 4-0 on the weekend. So you had Philly at Toronto, San Diego at Calgary, Vancouver at Saskatchewan, and Rochester at New England. All of those home teams, with the exception of the San Diego at Calgary one, all those home teams had to be favored. So pretty good shot, but 2-2 the home teams going. Of course, San Diego got the win in Calgary, and Rochester got the win in New England. Toronto, Tom was all in on Toronto possibly losing to Philadelphia, and it was close. 1-goal game, but the Rock able to clinch that playoff spot.
Yes, I wouldn't have not gone against Toronto. I know they let us down the last week, but no.
Man, yeah, Toronto living on the edge. When they've been good this year, it's like 1-goal games. They're the cardiac rock. Doesn't work, and cardiac cues. They're like the Syracuse Orange of the NLL. All they do is play 1-goal games.
Yeah. Well, hey, you didn't do so bad this week.
I did okay. I don't remember what I got, but it was all right.
All right, Dylan. A little too crazy with him though.
Producer, I thought those were actually pretty good. You just ran into a rough run of luck. Up next, it is time for the top plays from the college lacrosse week. See if the Terps find a spot. They lost, but they may find a spot in our top 10.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. Win the first championship!
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
one more thing to get to here on this Monday. We got to run down the top 10 plays.
Of course. It was not Monday without top plays.
It's not. So perk up. Some of the best plays coming your way. Let's start off with a big face-off win that we saw here on LSN.
I think I know who this is going to be.
Alex Woodall tied at this point with 507 career face-off wins at Towson. And he would go on to eventually, he would actually lose this one, but he would go on to win another one later on, making it 508 career face-off wins.
They're still going. You're still talking. They're still going.
This was a 45-second face-off. He lost his face-off, which is crazy, but he would become Towson's all-time face-off wins leader in this game.
Oh my God, that's a workout right there. That's a workout. My knees would have given out by now. Alrighty, moving on to number 9. Brad Voigt goes behind the back for the beautiful goal.
Whoop!
There it is.
If only they started faster there.
You know, I was going to keep it positive, but you
faster
went there.
Starts,
you went there.
Orange.
You
big
went
one.
there.
Big one tomorrow against Hobart. Bring the Krause-Simmons trophy back. All right, let's go to number 8. Sam Hanley. I love this freshman. Going all beast mode. 3 overtimes. At that point, you're like, no, this is going to go in my hands. That's it. That's all. Ball game. Sam Hanley knocking off Yale. Ooh. How about the Quakers?
That was a really, really good game. And I think that was a player that you didn't think was going to get it. You know, it's like, okay, freshman, probably get it in the hands of someone else.
Nah, man. Now leads the team in points. And Quakers, top 5 team in my book. Maybe not in the polls, but in my book.
You know what? And I love the footage of the fans rushing the field. That was
great.
Absolutely beautiful. And then now we got number 7 for Maryland, Roman Puglisi. He takes a big leap and just rips it in. There it is.
Top shelf.
Oh, goodness. He was far, too.
I feel like we had better goals than this.
Okay. He's
anyway.
Oh, Travis not liking it. Okay. Let's see.
It's a nice
Let's see
night,
the other ones. Let's see the other ones.
Let's go to number 6. Tyler Dunn. This kid is built like a tank. Uses the screen. Nice finish.
Oh, so this one was descended into overtime. Time is expiring, and there it is. They got it off just in time to score.
Boom. There you go. Tied it up.
Started the game winner.
Now this is one of.
We haven't had Pat Spencer in our top 10 lately.
I mean, just look at how smooth he makes this look. Going behind the back against Colgate.
You know what? Last week you weren't here. You know, Tom said Pat Spencer makes it look so easy that at this point it's like, are we impressed? It's like, hold up. We are always impressed.
I mean, he's just like a ho-hum 10-point afternoon, whatever.
He does it so nonchalantly, too.
I love watching Pat Spencer play lacrosse. Kind of like Tom Schreiber. Really like those two playing lacrosse. How about Syracuse? Nate Solomon. Right place, right time. Maybe we need to get him on the basketball team. Nice rebound.
We don't want any other lacrosse players playing basketball. We want you to play lacrosse.
I think he might have another year. You go back, play for Coach Jim Boeheim.
That could be something. I bet you would like that.
He might be at the top of the 2-3. I don't know what kind of size he's got there, but you know.
Syracuse they kind of need him right now.
They got some guys going to the draft. Some roster spots open. Just saying.
You're so salty about Syracuse, huh?
Yeah,
not making.
tough.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We won't go there. All right. Number 3, Sam Apuzzo. Ooh, goodness.
Should have been number 1.
She's another player. She's like a Pat Spencer of lacrosse. It's like she just makes things look so easy.
Look at this catch, too. She goes behind her to grab it and then brings it forward to only throw it behind her back. Must-see TV, Sam Apuzzo. But we have better than Sam. Let's go to number 2, Chris Conley from UMass. This is, I don't know if I've seen this before. No. That's what makes it so, not over the shoulder. This is like over the head finish.
Yeah, it was.
Just, you know, no look, like, oh, I'm just going to give this a shot.
First of all, like how he had control of it and was able to get it off and score.
The quick stick, throw it over your head. Kids, don't try this at home.
It's a circus shot. There it is. Oh, he's like,
buckets.
Yep, done.
Kobe
did that. What is number 1? Who is number 1? Number 1, Penn State, Jack Trainer. This little spin and falling and scores.
Penn State's offense in that first quarter, just ridiculous.
It was, oh.
Hey, Grant Amen's out there throwing no-look passes on, you know, a hobbled leg. This team
And they shared the love. Like, everyone got a little something on that
game. And they're
game.
clicking.
They are.
Tell you what.
They're not unanimous number one, though. They're not the unanimous number one. But
Andy Towers.
What is going on?
He just wants to stir the pot.
He really
does. You just need to stir it up a little bit, not go with everybody else. It's the kind of guy he is.
I understand that.
We see Andy. I respect it, though. I don't respect his number 2 team at Duke. They lost to North Carolina this week. Did he not watch the games?
Number 2?
Number 2.
Oh, goodness.
That takes a little bit of the validity out of Virginia
Andy.
being number 1.
Got a lot to talk about.
But
We got to call you. All right. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Lacrosse Now. Same time, same place tomorrow. See you then.
See ya.